Couldn't find the one for Joan, but you said Huntington
Good
what?
evening, everyone,
Grace.
and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. Tonight is February 5th, 2020, and I am Jenny Lee, and I have with me Miss Dana
Hi, guys.
and Miss Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
And we're still putting some stuff together. That's why I think we came on chattering. We're just starting to look for all the prep that we thought we were organized with. We have so much to talk about. It's crazy. We're going to try to get to a lot of different topics from a lot of, but we're going to start right here in Huntington. Lisa, would you like, since you're wearing your turtle, that maybe we should talk about the topic that you're really familiar with first?
Well, actually, speaking about the turtle, just quickly, I'd like to say he is being treated. This is the third turtle that the wildlife has that they're treating due to infections, malnourishment, pneumonia, really disgusting stuff. This is the third out of the fourth one from Heckscher Park. And I was hearing some pretty disgusting rumors this week, and maybe somebody could chime in and let me know what's going on. Someone was saying that the stone cottage, the toilet, when it's flushed, is flowing into the pond. Now, that's not an accusation. This is what someone was telling me who used to work for the town a long time ago. So that's pretty disgusting if that's true. The other thing is, as far as animals go, is Selmers. They had a big rally. They're tired of these people are tired of these puppy mills, seeing these puppies suffer, breeding, and then stores like Selmers are buying these puppies like like groceries.
So what brought that up was that state lawmakers on Monday were considering a bill that would ban the sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits at pet stores. And an action like that would take away like a huge chunk of Selmer's business and literally put them out of business. Should I play this real quick?
Well, it wouldn't put them out of business per se, because they'd still be able to have adoption fees and have adoptions for shelter dogs.
Right.
I don't see a big problem with that.
This is what, I hope it's not just music, might be. State lawmakers they show Selmers that would ban pet stores. The stores will be able to feature animals from shelters with an adoption fee. Supporters of the bill argue the puppy mills supply stores with unhealthy animals.
Families are, buying pets with their families, and days after purchase, they become very ill, and many have died.
True story.
And I have to tell you, like, my kids have ferrets, and the ones we had gotten from Selmers, and we got them as a pair, and it was for Christmas. We were in the hospital with we had Chip and Dale, their ferrets, and Dale was in the hospital that night from being sick, and I laid out a ton of money, and I had to fight Selmers to get that money back. And I settled for a separate amount because there is a lemon law for animals that if it happens within a certain amount of time. And that ferret eventually died a few months later. So I get it. I totally get it. When they're done in bulk in that way,
yeah,
they just discard them or they don't care because it's just something they're selling.
You're not buying a sack of potatoes. This is living creatures.
Yeah,
it's really disgusting. And people will fight you tooth and nail that, they take such great care of their puppies and the dogs and bunnies and fish and the lizards. You know what? I've been around Selmers for decades. It's not always the case. So if you hear a bad story, it's probably true. And I have experience of a lot of stories, a lot of bad stories. So they can whine all they want to. It's true.
It is.
I'll say about that.
Okay, I've got this one now. Okay, that's okay. I understand. I just know I wanted to highlight it, and it is a law that they're considering taking up. So it's important. All right, so let's talk about this little scandal that's going on at Town Hall. This one is going to get really, really weird.
It's already weird.
It's already weird, and it's only just an article, but there's going to be fallout from this. So this came out yesterday. Joan Circle, one of our elected townspeople, challenged the handling of an allegedly vulgar email. So we're now talking about an email that nobody's read, seen, or anything else. So we get to allude to or what's in it or guess or anything else. So what happened was, apparently it happened a while ago, and the person was only fired in February. So she's questioning the protocol of how this was or wasn't handled. So do you want me to read a little of this, or Dana, did you get a chance to read it? Did you want to give it a go?
I mean, it's just basically saying something to the extent that a vulgar email was sent. They're not naming they're not naming, of course, who sent the email or who the email was sent to, but they are letting us know that it was a department head that was appointed. And she wants to know why didn't anyone talk about it? It happened all the way in November, and that person has only been suspended, I think, for 2 weeks or something to that effect. It doesn't really offer a lot of information, but it does offer a lot of questions. And Mark, of course, chimed in and said that he was equally appalled as to what exactly was going on. But what was vulgar about? It's just a lot of questions.
Did somebody get hurt? Did somebody get hurt, or just feelings?
No, well, feelings are now, that's a felony.
You get fired over feelings, right? Over someone's feelings.
Yeah, no, it's just another one of those things where it's what do they refer to it as castle drama. Things that are going, they do the same thing with the president. They talk about, oh, this one got fired, or this happened, or things that happen that we have very little information, kind of like the whole affair with Chad, the lawsuit and all that stuff. Nobody has the details. So the only real purpose that things that we can speculate serves is to create a negative opinion, the court of opinion in people's minds. How and why would something like that with no physical evidence even end up at Huntington now? Who's leaking to Pam? Who's leaking to Pam Robinson intentionally to form a public opinion?
I want to know who the whistleblower is.
Yeah.
I think that particular
Chad, by the way.
Site is
Sorry, that was an awful joke, but it was funny.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. That is not true. But I just think Huntington now, because they have had to retract some statements and they at times report things that are not factual, I find it very hard to take them at face value. And I do know that it's a little biased, especially it's heavy towards the Democratic Party. So I'm not sure exactly, everyone's definition of vulgar is different.
I agree.
I don't know, some people consider saying ASS is vulgar. I mean, that to me isn't vulgar. But it's like you want to stir the pot though, like you get everybody amped up because you can't serve us, you can't tell us anything. So we're left to speculate, like whose job is appointed and who is a department head.
According to the Democrats over at Huntington Matters, dirtbag is vulgar.
My husband wrote out vulgar, which is the word Dina would just said. She spelled. I'm gonna say it because I have a great ass. So nobody likes a smart ass. Everybody likes a great ass. It's a wonderful saying. Adopt it. But anyways, he typed the word ass on Huntington Matters, and he received an inbox from June, and he was forced to change it to arse, A-R-S-E, which I guess is the British version, whatever. And she allowed that to stay. So apparently, butts, arse, the only illegal one on that page is ass. So there's, like you were just saying, Dana, there's a level of what we consider vulgar. That's the spectrum. I consider none of those vulgar. None of them, but some people will find them vulgar.
Yeah, I don't really have time to, I mean, if the email was sent out, that's another thing. Like, how many people knew about the email? Number one, why was the email sent? Now, how is the female who the email was written about? How is she feeling? What was the reason for the email to be started? then it's like, how many other people saw the email? Who, you know,
And
and
what
if
was
this is
actually
going,
said that was so offensive? How about we see it? Can we see it?
yeah, like, and then who touched it that it had to wait all the way until Joan got it to be, you know, brought to the forefront? I don't understand that part. You know, like, if you know something's going on, say it.
Unless it's being reverse engineered. I mean, this is it's definitely mirroring what happens on a national basis. Leaking of information from town hall to reporters about emails nobody's seen and alleging what was said.
Alleging it's
I mean, you
vulgar.
were right, Lisa. Who's the whistleblower? Maybe I'm right. Maybe it was Chad. You know, maybe he let it go.
Maybe
don't know.
Joan. Maybe Joan wrote it.
Right, maybe Joan let something go on purpose to whip up a story with Pam Robinson. Again, this is all speculation, but we don't know. So just show us the email. We're adults. We can all read it and form our own opinion. If you're going
And
to
I-
take it to the news.
And I think, like, one thing that really disturbs me about this community is that they take everything and run with it. They
Mhm.
don't bother to sit down and really go through the information and wait until see what actually comes about. I'll never forget what happened to the Golden Dolphin. They persecuted that man and did all kind of things, drove his business out. I went there the other day for breakfast and it was horrible. Horrible. The place looks run down. The food is gross now. The plates were chipped. But all of this because somebody put out something that wasn't accurate, and then we later found out that all of it was false. And then look what happened to the man. So, you know, that site was one of the sites who was reporting on it.
Mhm.
So I don't really understand why we give certain things so much leg room before we even have all the
Yep.
information.
It's vulgar. I think Pam
Very.
Robinson's article is vulgar.
I think when you post things that are not fully, you know, verified, that's vulgar. I think it's
I
very
think so
vulgar.
too. I'm
You
insulted.
should be held accountable, especially if you want to call yourself a reporter or the
I'm
member of the
offended
press.
that they think we're not adults enough to just handle the raw information, that they need to put it in, you know, some half-baked website ran by she used to be the editor for the Patch, and then she got hired to work in Steve Ballone's office as the PR director. Don't forget that.
That's
Because
vulgar.
that job that Pam Robinson took from being the editor of the Huntington Patch, accepting a job with the Suffolk County executive, I don't care who he is or what party he is, and then becoming that PR person's arm, then starting Huntington Now, makes you a political minded operative player. So yeah, people are leaking stuff to her and she's using it to get hits on her website to get advertising. We know how this stuff works.
Yep. You got to get
I
those
think,
clicks.
but you have to take into consideration you're destroying people's lives in the interim, and that to me, I mean, if you're that, you know,
Petty.
crazy,
They don't care who they destroy. They care
crazy.
that they're able to maintain power in politics. The collateral damage means nothing to either party. Either part, they don't care. If this person wants power and they need to take it from this side of the aisle, then they don't care. We'll get to some. You want? Hopefully, we move this along. We'll get to some stuff, but just gonna throw in, okay, that guy that got fired in the Ukraine that Biden fired, he was poisoned. Okay, they're willing to kill people for politics and power.
He's
Well,
dead.
we knew that. That's nothing new. They've been doing that since the beginning of time.
Right. So
They
don't.
will kill you. That goes back all the way to Caesar. Come on. They don't
Yeah,
have a problem with killing you.
yes, but so of course Pam's out there to influence. So I have to say, who's the whistleblower? Who's the leaker? And why don't we get real information instead of the, you know, it's speculation.
I say it's
Well-
Joan until we hear differently.
Yeah.
Well, I could understand why they don't disclose so much, but what I don't understand is that you can tell us bits and pieces of it without disclosing anything else. If you deem something vulgar, you could say, like, you know, in reviewing the article, terms like boop, boop, boop was used, or this was said, or that was said. It doesn't have to give a complete dissertation of what you read.
No, how
But
about
give
just,
the-
no, that is because each person's opinion. How about just retract the names of the parties and release the whole thing? Let us figure out. what it is.
That's a slippery,
Unless
that's a
you
slippery
threaten
slope.
someone's life, whatever. So
I
maybe
wanna-
they called you a biatch,
Do you want to know
whatever.
where I agree with Joan? I want to know why emails are not subject to FOIL. It's your government email. Why is it not subject to FOIA?
I think that they can't release it so much, because if the person wants to take this legally, I mean, you can't, you have to be careful. And I would agree with that. Why can't we foil it? I mean, because if it's a government email, you work for us, we
Mhm.
should be able to review it. But I don't like people who just start fires, and then just leave. So you could have, without disclosing, the full thing, you could have said, they said things like, biatch or whatever the case may be. You just said vulgar. Well, to me, to be honest, if I heard someone say biatch, I mean, it's not going to shoot my antennas up like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Um,
unless they threaten to
that's not
kill
to say it's
someone,
right.
that doesn't sound like really a big deal. Just sounds like drama.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't, again, I'm just speculating because I don't know the extent of the email, but I just think that when you start things like that, you should anticipate the reaction that you may get from both sides.
Yeah.
Because, just because you think it's vulgar doesn't mean anything to me.
Oh, I think that's the point of the article. We're just talking about it, right? Get you
That's it.
talking.
So I wanted to follow up on the story that we covered extensively last week during Lisa's great turtle rescue, was the story of the little boy, the 8-year-old Thomas Valla. I just want to give an update on this. It's
Mhm.
especially since I've hit a paywall with Newsday. They don't like me. I don't like them either. So it's fair is fair.
Well,
But
while you're looking for something, I can say that Judge Zimmerman, the beast, I got my hands on some of the transcripts for the case going back months and months and months. And Judge Zimmerman was actually telling the mother to shut up and do not speak in my courtroom. You don't have the right to speak in my courtroom. She tried and she tried and she tried so hard to get this judge to listen to her about what the father was doing to her son. And the
Wow.
judge didn't care, didn't want to hear it. It's in the transcripts.
all right, so good. All right, hold on to those because we'll get back to it. But I just want to do a quick update on this story because the father was indicted this week, and that's it. They're definitely going to take this one all the way. They've got him. He's indicted. That's a good sign for this moving along quickly. So hopefully those judges will be next. I
He's
hope a
not
lot
the
of
only
people
guilty
fall for
party.
this.
Yeah, the CPS, the judge, the law guardians, they all have blood on their hands.
Not even, I mean, for me, the more I hear about the story, the more, I just don't understand. The lawyers, the guardian, all of that. But let's start with the teachers, the superintendents, the paras, everybody who saw the doctors, because they said
Yep.
he had autism. So
They all reached out.
obviously
They
he
all
was
reached out to the judge.
Yeah, but the problem is, you should have done more.
Mhm.
If somebody's coming to school soaked in urine for 2 weeks,
Mm.
something is wrong. All of them, whoever that little boy came across and didn't constantly make a complaint every time they came across him, and if you didn't get the response you needed, send it somewhere else. At least this way you can say, I fought for them. I tried my hardest. But just because you're writing to a judge, if it's evident that
Sorry.
the judge isn't listening, then why would you continuously write to them? Go to the next avenue. Everyone who ever interacted with that child failed him. Everyone.
Everyone. Yep. And if the mother
So-
would have done the smart thing and picked up and ran with him and ran away, then what
She
would
would
have
be in
happened?
jail. She would have been in
Exactly.
jail.
There was
She would
no,
have been in jail.
she couldn't have won whatever she did. So horrible.
I think that's so sad though. And that was his own child. Not to say that it's a right to abuse anyone, but I mean, you helped create that person and you killed him.
He got that, he had custody of that child, or was it visitation? I forget. Nonetheless, that he fought very hard with his lawyers and the law guardian so that he could have that child, just so that he would not have to pay child support. It happens every day. Every day. And it doesn't matter if I don't know if there is other children that have been killed. I don't know that. I'm sure there have been, but even if there hasn't been, there are still children out there right now who are suffering.
So at Holland,
It's
Sorry.
also true. One thing you said to me, Lisa, that I did have to go back and think about was how they treat you when you go to family court. You're almost treated like, even if you're
Like a
going for
criminal.
something as simple as child support.
Yeah.
They treat the person that's taking the other person just as bad as they teach the person who's not doing anything.
Correct.
And the way that they talk to you, just like, this can't be real.
They equally treat everyone like shit.
They
Like
do.
there's shit on their shoes.
They do.
They do. They do.
They
At
think
least
they're
they're
better. They
equal.
think they're better. They think they're smarter. They think, I don't know what they think, but they're wrong.
least
it's
they're
like
equal.
I don't think I want you, not being honest and just automatically having this nasty attitude. I don't trust your judgment.
Now
I
now
didn't-
go beyond that and think about how they feel when they know what's happening to these kids. They know what's happening to these kids. Now, like I had told you also, I don't know if you had caught this, when a judge can't stand either parent for either reason, or maybe doesn't like the parent's lawyer for whatever reason, because it's a game, right? It's a game. It's a horrible game. And if you don't know the rules, your child will suffer horribly for a long, long, long time. That judge can and will and has taken children, maybe more than one child, broken the family up and put different ones in different foster care. And then the state gets what? Money. Money, 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 y'all.
Does the state get the money?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, I
It's a
didn't know that.
game.
I didn't know
It
that.
is, yes, it's a
No,
very
they should-
profitable game.
It's for them to take kids out of homes it's a different form of human trafficking.
If you could look at it that way.
It is, it's a different form of human trafficking.
Mm.
Because they do it with the elder care system and they do it in the family court. And
Yep.
they are.
I
the
call it
people
legal
making the money.
kidnapping. I call it
It is,
legal
it's like,
kidnapping.
think about it, because they're making money off of it. There's a
And it's
permit,
legal because they can do whatever they want.
whatever they want.
They are never held accountable. They can sit on that bench for 14, 24 years and they're never held accountable. Judge Zimmerman, she has been on that bench for 14 years. Complaint after complaint. You have no idea how many complaints against her there are with the judicial committee, and zero accountability. Not one complaint has been looked into. Not one.
It's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And who's looking at
Yeah.
these complaints? Lawyers, her peers. And what happens?
The
Nothing.
same lawyers that politic and get people thrown off the ballot and all this crazy stuff they do. Yep, those are the same ones.
Correct.
Think about it. Susan Berlin's husband recently got his judgeship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Pension for life, baby.
That's
And
interesting.
no accountability. Zero accountability.
All right. Well, let's move this in a little more not happier direction, because this is just miserable, really.
Well, you can talk about blood on your hands. You can talk about
Blood on their hands. On February 3rd in Newcastle, there was a man was found dead behind a house. And this was just on February 3rd. And it didn't really, it was just a little blip on the screen in Nassau. The Nassau County Police Department Homicide Squad is investigating a homicide that was discovered on Sunday, February 2nd in Newcastle. They found a male, Hispanic, in his 30s, deceased in the rear of the house. You know, kind of, you would usually just blow this stuff off. Except, let's see. Oh, there we go. Except, and again, the paywall's there, so I can't get it, but you can see the title. Cops, man found dead was a witness in
Bludgeoned
the
to death.
MS-13 assault case. So he was a witness. So here's how this went down. He witnessed an MS-13 gang member murder somebody. Okay. The guy gets out on the new bail reform law and goes back and kills the witness. Who didn't see this coming?
How did he know who was the witness and how did he know where he lives?
Because the new law requires, well, yeah, because the new law requires that they are given the information of any witnesses.
Oh,
to
hell
help them
no.
In their case. That's,
Yes,
That's crazy.
no, it's-
yes.
no, this is it. Yes.
That's
Well,
crazy.
The murderer has a right to know who his accuser is and
Correct.
where he lives and when he's home and what his work hours are and what he had for dinner.
In fact, you have to legally turn it over within 15 days of the incident.
To their attorney. Mhm.
And then you wonder why people don't want to say anything. I'm not saying crap
Exactly.
if you're going to know where I live.
I am
Exactly.
not a witness to shit.
No.
I'm giving them
No.
I'm giving them one of my enemies' address.
Tell your
I'm not
give him
giving
your
nobody's
lawyer's
address.
I'd love to give them what's her names, but she lost her house, so
Oh!
not gonna happen.
Give him your lawyer's address.
I don't know her address anymore.
I'm sorry.
So funny. I ran
It's
into
really, it's so disgusting. What the hell is happening to this world? I don't even understand.
I don't think that, that's just
So wait, there's more. Okay, so now you have the police union is declaring, oh wait, you can't see this. You got to tell me, say, Jenny, you're looking at your screen, you're looking up in the air and okay. The police union, this came out yesterday. Police union declares New York City's rising crime rate a public safety emergency. I definitely think that the bail reform law has made people empowered. But we're seeing some other things. Oh, that's right. I forgot to put this on the list. Let me go
Is
find
Cuomo
this
back
other
from vacation?
piece.
Is he back from overseas doing anything?
I don't know. What's the next holiday coming up that he needs to go out of
Valentine's
out of country
Day.
for?
Maybe he'll leave for Valentine's Day.
Let me get that other one. This is the
Maybe
one.
we can send him to China.
Here, I'm going to go to the
New Coronas.
the new Coronas.
Too much? Sorry, is that too much?
I had a couple of Corona viruses with some Lyme disease this weekend at Mary's party. Okay, here we go. So this is from
Oh, Lord.
Councilman Christopher Carini in New York City. And this was actually a protest that they had, and they were protesting the fare hikes in New York City and basically saying, and I got to tell you, out of all the pictures, this one made me the maddest. The
What is
gorilla-
that?
That's
Glue.
Gorilla Glue in the thing, so that you don't, you can't. That one actually made me so mad because number one, they just cleaned up all the subways. They just look how shiny all the other tiles are. They just did a big clean on this, and now they completely wrecked it. So this was
Oh my
basically
God.
this was the I don't know what they call it, but they said they were protesting the fares, but that's fuck the police, basically is what that means.
Right, the fare hike.
but
So
look
that
at it,
doesn't have
that's
anything to
the
do with the
one.
police.
This is the one, look at this, the Gorilla Glue in this thing. Look at that, Gorilla Glue, empty everywhere. To clean that up, I mean, really,
Well, now they're gonna raise the fares even more to clean up all that shit.
right. So wait, I gotta get rid of this thing.
Excuse me.
Hold on, go away. So
Okay.
now they put out this report. They wonder why. This just came out also, right? Lawmakers, the same ones saying that we have a crisis, the same ones all of a sudden, they team up to determine why people are leaving New York. Let's study this. We have no idea why people are leaving, maybe because it's not safe. But what I found was interesting, the report found that the largest share of people to leave New York State were middle-class workers and high-income earners. Who didn't see that coming? Good Lord. So on that note, we've got almost everything except, oh no, he's actually going to be the perfect lead-in for this. Let me grab him real quick. He's going to be the perfect lead-in for where we want to go. And we did that all so well that we have
Hmm.
time. Ta-da! Schumer, who
Oh,
finally
Jesus.
remembered that he represents New York State.
Oh, right.
I forgot. I mean,
Thought about
I
that.
was so busy seeing him every day run for the cameras. I guess he knew the days were numbered, and we're going to get to that stuff next since we're working up the food chain. Schumer calls for EPA involvement in Northport Middle School investigation. Where have you been, Mr. Schumer? These kids have been in this situation, moved everything else. I mean, how long was this going on? And now he's calling for this yesterday.
You know what else you never hear about? And I know, we made like a joke about it when we had those silly little water commissioner elections.
Mhm.
Not that I even know who these people are, because I don't think most people do. Where are they when we're dealing with water quality? Where are they? Where is and what about Mr. Gorin? Mr. Gorin now has stepped in and he wants to be a part of this. Wasn't he one of the water commissioners in Huntington for the
Very
township?
Gorin?
excellent
Oh, I
point,
don't know.
Lisa.
Yes.
He was.
I'm
yes,
not
he
sure
was.
if he was.
Now
He
he's
was?
doing something.
He did.
What did he do before?
Yes,
When
he
we were drinking crap water,
Wow.
when I was complaining and
No,
complaining
we
and
still
complaining
are.
that my
They're
water
still out
tastes
there every day
disgusting.
boring the holes. And we just poop right in that water that comes from under us in our aquifers.
You mean we're drinking? Never mind.
Yeah, that and all sorts of drugs that get, yeah, all sorts of stuff. All right, so now that we have joined Mr. Schumer, we can go ahead and get into some of the stuff that happened this week on a national basis. We had last night the State of the Union, and over the last 2 weeks, we have endured the impeachment hearings. I watched every single day of it. Was mind-numbing of the impeachment hearings, and there's a lot of other things going on. So impeachment hearings were crazy. They voted on that today at 4 o'clock, and the president was acquitted. They really failed to make a case. And if you listen to the, how much did you, Lisa, and how much Dana? If you had,
Listen to a good part of it.
it was over
Not
2
every
weeks.
minute like you, but a good part of it. I followed a lot of it.
There was 24 hours for each side, and it was split into 3 days.
Yeah, I listened to it in pieces, not like straight through. I had to work.
Right. The defense didn't use as much time. They were like, it seemed like the prosecution was all over. And then the defense came in and pointed, and used less time. And people really appreciated that. And then they had 16 hours where the senators were allowed to ask questions, but it had to be written, and Justice Roberts would talk them out.
Mhm.
And then it was 2 hours for rebuttal for each side. And then they closed, and then the senators were allowed to give 10 minutes each on the Senate floor. And for every day that the impeachment was going on, Senate had no other thing. They weren't allowed to do anything. No business of the country will happen except for the impeachment.
And how much money did they make?
Apparently, I'm being told the numbers are 85 million for the impeachment hearing,
Oh my
with all the depositions that were given on the 18 witnesses that they previously deposed. The ones that we heard from, because we did. I mean, when they said there was no witnesses and no evidence, then what were all those clips of people that you deposed to be witnesses about? They really just wanted to prolong this as long as they could and have them come back and repeat the same stuff that they had already been deposed on. Actually, they wanted to add new witnesses because they were saying that all this information was coming out about John Bolton. So now, because something was leaked the night before the defense took over, now we need this guy as a witness. It was almost like they were going to keep letting stuff drip out in the media to be able to say, see, there's still stuff coming out. We just, then you didn't have a solid case. You should not have rushed to close what you did. That's how it goes.
And sit on it for 33 days, was it? 33 days,
33 days.
33 days, because it was so damning. the
And they were
evidence
so
that they
frustrated
had.
when they say, oh, well, we allowed the president to defend himself. We let him in. They kept him away from the team. For the president's attorneys were not allowed to cross-examine. And they were 78 days into the investigation. They allowed them to say, oh, but you can come now on the 71st day. So they considered letting him in the last week to be, we invited him. That's an invite. As long as we do it a day or two, it's fine. So it's
Yeah.
completely unfair trial for him.
I'm sure they're already working on something else to.
Well, you know how
Fine.
they kept saying that it wasn't a fair trial, it wasn't a fair trial? Dina, you know, you went to law school.
I didn't go to law school
Well,
yet, but
you went to study, you wanted to become a lawyer.
I mean, no, I still will. But you know, when you have kids, you
Right.
gotta finish
But
paying
they-
for them first.
But the fair trial is for the accused.
I don't engage in any conversation regarding the impeachment because personally, I feel it was a waste of time and a waste of money. The Democrats are so hell bent on doing everything wrong or making sure they find something for him to be wrong of that they lose sight of what they're supposed to be doing. And the Republicans, instead of just, remaining quiet and just doing your own thing, they feed into it. So for me, the whole process, it shouldn't even have gotten here. And the Democrats, if they were smart enough, they would be working on a candidate that can get the approval of the electoral college. Everybody's talking about the popular vote. Well, he didn't win the popular vote last time. So that's the last thing you should be worrying about. You should worry about who is going to win the electoral college. And I'm telling you right now, Biden, Sanders, or Warren and Buttigieg, they're not cutting it. America just had a black president for 8 years. That's enough for them to be shaken up. They're not very ready for a gay person. They're not ready for a woman, and they're not prepared for somebody. They're not ready for someone like Bernie Sanders who has a socialist mentality. So stop. The Democrats are slowly showing how crazy they can be, but the Republicans are feeding into it instead of just standing their grounds. So it makes both of them look crazy.
There
I-
was in Iowa, and we'll circle back to this, what you just said about how America's not ready for a gay president. You're so right, because at the Democrats caucus, and I got to explain how those work. That's crazy. But there was a woman, Democrat, white woman. She just found out that Pete was gay, which is such a well-known fact. I don't understand how you just found out. So she asked for her caucus vote back. Had I had known, and he's a Democrat, had I had known, I would have never have signed.
A tolerant Democrat, a tolerant person?
Oh, no, she had made no bones about it. And she started basically saying that goes against the Bible. So I don't know what's going on with the Democrats in Iowa, but they look nothing like the ones in New York. I'll tell you that.
But let me say this, and you guys know my household is very diverse. We have a bleeding heart liberal, we have a Democrat, we have a staunch conservative, a Republican. One thing that we all agree upon in regards to Trump, he knows what to say to rile people in, because as much as I don't care for him politically, he talks about things that I appreciate, like doing the prayer in school, making sure that we recognize our military, making sure we protect our homeland against undocumented individuals, making sure we hold terrorists accountable. He says a lot of things that even for people like myself who don't care for him politically, we kind of have to lean towards his thought process because that's the world we live in today. So instead of the Democrats working on that and listening to what he says and trying to either combat that or say what they can do, they're focusing on who slept with the man, and if Russia was involved, who cares? We have an election coming up. There's nothing we could do even if he was impeached. We could bring him up on charges, but by the time everything happens, the election is here. So the Democrats are just slowly just making a fool out of themselves in regards to this whole process, and it's sad.
They
because,
have
you
been
know,
since they lost.
yeah,
Good.
but everybody loses. That's why we
Right.
have those two. Everyone loses. So
Right.
it's not your turn.
What's that
Exactly.
song? Everybody hurts
Right.
sometime.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's it.
But-
That's it.
That wasn't that bad, was it?
That's what's up. That's what's up right there.
I can't.
Up.
God.
I am dying. I am dying slowly. But it's really sad to see that, you know, we have Americans going against other Americans, and to the outside world we look like fools. We can't even control our own government, and we're a superpower. Not so super now, you know. I just don't understand, you know, what do the Democrats hope to get out of this? And if he's reelected, which he probably will be, we're gonna go through another 4 years of this. Nobody wants to be bothered with that. At least I don't.
Well, I mean, if we don't take back the House, they're just going to drag us through an impeachment until he's out of office. That's a given.
Well, people need to. Now that is something that the people could listen. Stop. We just said 85 million. Stop wasting our damn money.
I
don't have time for you to go on your little witch hunts. I don't. And I don't even care for him as a president. But I don't have time for you to.
What could you have done with all that money? Could you have cleaned the streets up in LA? Could you have, how many people could you have fed?
They could have upgraded.
How many children? How many
They
people
could have
you help?
upgraded all the cages for the children. I mean, a fancy upgrade. Like you could make them double decker at that point. Notice you don't hear about that anymore, right? You don't hear about that.
I'm asleep.
And I heard that the cages were already upgraded. Obama did a great job with those facilities when he was in office. He did a really good job fixing them up. We were under a complete crisis when he was in office in 2014. That's when we got all the unaccompanied minors. So anybody's got any complaints about that, it was recently renovated.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought J-Lo's cages were a little too small, though.
Yeah, hers were definitely small.
I thought they were too
Whose
small.
cages?
Super Bowl.
Oh,
By the way, I'm
Super-
Team Shakira. I
I
woke
didn't see
up
it.
and I watched, everybody was so outraged about their performance. And not for nothing, we stopped watching the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl performances in the Super Bowl didn't change. We did.
Yeah.
We woke up to the human trafficking element that goes on, that the Super Bowl is one of the #1 places where human trafficking occurs. Okay.
Really?
We woke up to, yes. We woke up to the sexualization of children and how we parade that around on TV and normalize it to our kids with crotch grabbing and booby grabbing, and the sexualization of women from women who don't want to be sexual objects, okay? We stopped watching for a while and then we decided to watch again, and we have changed. They were always that. They were never any different. But I do want to say that Jennifer Lopez's Spanx were the prettiest bedazzled Spanx I have ever seen in my life. I definitely can't rock that. I
They
tried.
definitely was pretty.
I tried to dance along on Sunday. I was in a lot of pain on Monday. I had to take some Advils. I
Wow.
just can't. I can't anymore. I tried. It just couldn't do it. So then what happened on Monday? There's always something. All I know is that today was the end of impeachments and everybody needs to take down their impeachment decorations. But yesterday was the State of the Union address.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I
That
was
was-
embarrassed for those Democrats. I mean, they're the ones that keep whining, crying, and sniffling about the diversity issues and the whole world is divided and people come together. They couldn't even stand for any of those guests, white, black, whatever.
That little
was
girl.
disgusting. That fourth grader.
That little fourth grader,
You
she's
couldn't have cheered for her and her mom. Are you
How-
kidding me?
how about little black girl who gets the voucher for school choice, which was originally an idea that was floated by the Democrats. School choice voucher system is a Democrat stance. And they sat, look at them sitting behind me. They sat, they look bored, they look miserable. Look at this one on her phone. Look at my phone. Let me see who's hashtagging my name. I'm talking about what I'm wearing.
Disgusting. That was
Oh,
so
look,
gross.
here's your face.
Look at the faces and just, they were just so disgusting and miserable. And they could have been a part of all that wonderfulness.
I was so
You know, and that man, it was 100 years old. All those wars that he's been in
I was
for this
so-
country.
That one bothered. So there was two things that totally broke me down. One of the things was Rush Limbaugh. And
Might be his last public appearance, for
it
God's
might
sake.
be because when Rush first announced this week that he said he had advanced
Stage
lung
4.
cancer, we didn't know that until last night.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the reason why he was given the Medal of Honor right then and there is because he is that advanced. But either way, at stage 4, you're dying.
Yeah, it's really
And
sad.
the response to Rush Limbaugh from some of the people who hate Trump in regards to, I hope you suffer. I hope you that you're this racist. Somebody quoted something about 12% of black people, and it was from a poll. And Rush had said, "Why are we supposed to care about this?" Now he was saying, why are we supposed to care about how they conduct polls like this? But they twist it and they say he doesn't care about black people because he said, why should I care about polls like this? He's just if you ever listen to him, you know that he hates polling data because it's foolish, because he says it's used to create a story, not necessarily tell the truth. And that's what I see also. But the response from people about, I hope he friggin' dies and
I heard some of
suffers
it today.
greatly.
Oh my God.
He is suffering it. Let me tell you, the man's dying. How about just don't say anything?
Yeah, how about that?
People saying how President Trump shouldn't give somebody like him an award. I have no problem with any of the awards that Barack Obama gave. I went through and I started looking, and it's given in categories like sports and entertainment and all those things. He had Ellen DeGeneres. One of the things, I really could have been the person out there saying, look, Obama gave Bill Cosby this award, and he's now a convicted rapist, blah, blah. But you know what? Didn't, because when you're president, you're entitled to do those things. But if somebody's dying, just shut up. So that one broke me. That one, because my dad used to listen to him on the radio when I was little, and I don't have my dad anymore. And it just, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of him.
Yeah, I don't have there's no love lost for me in Rush Limbaugh. I don't wish anything harsh on anyone, because I just think that's just not the thing to do. But a lot of people do view him as a racist, and I have listened to him. In fact, my father used to be so angry with me for listening to him. My father hated him. He does say some things, and I think that when you are of a minority race, your interpretation of things may be different. And when you're of a Caucasian race, your interpretation of things are different, because he said some things that definitely raise your eyebrows if you're a minority. With that being said, with someone who has cancer, stage 4, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, I just lost my dad. I would not wish him to die slow. I would refrain from saying anything, and I just would let it go. Do I think he deserved an award? Not in my opinion, but I'm not the president. But I'm not going to.
Right,
It's not that significant to me to even address it. I saw the award, I saw when he got it, but Rush Limbaugh doesn't, he's not that significant to me that I would even want to comment on it.
And what about, everyone wants to focus on Nancy ripping it up at the end, which is what everybody was talking about today. But what about the 13-year-old boy who wants to be the first Space Force cadet, right? And I'm listening, I'm like, he's going in on the Space Force. And then all of a sudden he turns to his 100-year-old great grandfather who served in 3 different war.
I
He
just
was-
wanted to hug them both.
yeah,
Oh my
Charles McGee, he
God.
was a Tuskegee Airman. And I got to tell you, as that part rolled out, the tears just, it was so sweet. Here's this little boy who wants to be in the Space Force. Here's his dad. And the time that he served was an incredible time in our country's history when civil rights was changing, and he had just returned from Vietnam. It's just, what a story. Why couldn't everybody be focused on that guy, right?
Why couldn't
Right?
everybody be clapping? Every person in that room. That's what I focused on. Like, that's just wrong. And what about Nancy's face when he brought up the mom with the little baby, the 2-year-old? Nancy just shook her head.
You know which one was really weird for me though? So there was one when he brought home the man from the military,
Oh,
because they were talking about, and I don't think they're going to be married very long, because like my husband comes back from serving and has been there that long, and you're at the State of the Union, and oh my God, he's here. Oh my God, right? She kind of just like, oh, and hands him a baby. It was really awkward. And then he gave
I
her a
thought
kiss
the
on
same
the cheek.
thing.
He gave her a kiss on the cheek, and it was just really awkward.
And even
Like-
the kids were a little off, like they almost didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, like maybe Trump got the wrong soldier, and that really wasn't the husband. Like, this didn't look like he was your guy, lady. So that
Kind of
that
noticed
one
that too. It was a little weird.
I mean, anybody coming home from the military, I mean, like normally you'd be like, yes, that was amazing, but that didn't feel, here's your baby, glad you're back. like, oh my God. And those poor kids, they were falling asleep. Those
I
poor
know.
kids. Oh my God. Oh yeah, there was so much. It was an emotional journey. And then at the end, she ripped, and it was such a great ending, the way that he ended
How
it.
we do it?
Yeah, like, so there's kind of some mixed opinion out there about whether what she did was actually like breaking a law, because you're not allowed to destroy documents of that magnitude, and those are originals. There's 3 copies that are made. One
Wow.
gets filed, one goes of course to the vice president, and the other goes to the Speaker of the House. But all certain documents, and these are documents that are laid out in the Constitution, are required to go into the Hall of Records.
Mm.
So, and somebody's been floating it around. I haven't really checked on it yet, but it has, unlike the articles of impeachment, it has an actual statute of law that could have been broken on it. So we will see in the days to come. We will definitely see. I know that there's a lot of things happening. Director Wray was giving testimony today, and it's pretty damning. John Kerry spoke at an event for Biden, and he pretty much admitted that everybody was going after this Shokin guy who ended up with mercury poisoning. Wow, there's a lot going on. So
The fact that people, I listen to both sides of every coin, regardless, with everything. The fact that people are going to go back and look and see if she actually destroyed a document, the fact that people are focusing on the fact that she ripped up the document, the fact that he did not shake her hand, and the fact that they're going, oh, I wouldn't shake her hand, and I think you're part of the problem. Like you said, there was much more things to focus
drama
on
about the castle.
from that State of the Union than her not shaking his hand, from him not shaking her hand, and she ripping up his speech.
So
They got that girl who was held by ISIS, tortured, and then killed. Recognize that. Recognize the little boy. Stop talking about, because all of the yip, 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 and this back and forth. I did a post today, and some of the responses were so asinine that I just stopped responding. If all you want to do is play tit for tat, you're just as bad as they are. So what? He didn't shake her hand. She ripped up his speech. You're both wrong.
I don't think
Case
he
closed.
saw the hands.
Well,
But,
Mary C,
but
go
I
look
don't
on my
think she,
page.
but, no,
Mary
no, no,
C,
I don't
put it out
think she
there.
did. But I have to tell you, if I was elected president and the woman who's been impeaching me literally from the day I took office, I would not shake her hand. And I would
Then
not
you
make
shouldn't.
any
You probably
apology.
shouldn't be. You probably shouldn't be a president.
I
When you're the
would make no
president
apologies
of the,
about it.
when you decide to become the president of the United States, you are held to a higher caliber. And it's not a point of what every president in history has been ridiculed. Every president in the world has had that has run this country has had some type of thing said about them that's not favorable. That is part of the job. You called Obama all kind of niggas, monkeys, said his kids with this, talked about his clothes, all of that,
I
right?
never
You
did
did all
that.
of that.
I never did.
You
I
did
never
all of that.
I
And
never
then
did that.
now they're going after
And I have
Trump,
to
and
tell
it's-
you,
it's
I saw
like-
that comment about Michelle
it's
Obama
like-
being called an ape. I call my kids monkeys. And
Well,
it's not
but
offensive.
that's not. You are a mom. You are not the president of the United States. You're a mom. You're a wife. You're a business person. You're not held
But
to the
that means
same
It doesn't-
standard.
But
You're
it's
just
your
not.
standard, and all
That's
300
not my standard. That's the
It is.
standard of America. That's why people don't like
330
him.
million people all have a different set of what that standard means to them.
And however many people did not vote for him and voted for Hillary Clinton tells us that they did not like him. But my point is, everyone who does all of that back and forth, and I'm going to look at this and you're just as bad as the rest of them. They're both disgraces, because
I don't think
as the president of the United States, someone extends their hand, you just simply shake it. It's
No.
called respect.
and she gets
And if she
back.
and for her to rip it up, it's a tit for tat. Oh, you didn't shake my hand? I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna make faces. How old are we?
Do you
My
think
son,
that
who's
helped
8 years
her?
old, does things like that.
Do you think that behavior helped her or the Democrat Party in any way?
I don't think
form?
I've been very vocal about the Democrats and their participation in this entire event. Absolutely. What did you gain by not shaking her hand? But controversy. What did she gain by ripping up the paper? Controversy. When we have real things we're talking about, we're focusing on a handshake and a paper, and we had real issues in that State of the Union that
That's
should have been addressed.
And they're
Did anybody?
positive things, but these are
Yes. So
positive
let's
things.
talk about that. Why
No.
are we talking about, like, we have a new Muslim holiday on our calendar? Why aren't we talking about things like that? How come we're not, these are other things we could be addressing. Not that there's anything wrong with the Muslim holiday. I just threw it in there because I remembered it. I was talking to my kids about it.
No, it's
So
okay.
don't
I
kill
agree
me.
with you. It
But-
comes up automatically on my phone, and I'm like, what is this?
What is that? That's what I was like, what is that? And, depending upon, my point is, there were so many other things to focus on other than that. And when you can't be honest about whomever you're supporting, you're just as guilty as the person who's making a big deal out of it.
I'm being
You
honest
are-
with you. I think Trump should have given her the biggest bitch slap you've ever seen
Okay,
instead
then
of
he'd be in
shaking
jail.
her hand.
Then he'd be in jail.
No, he wouldn't be in
Because
jail because he could
You
shoot someone.
cannot. You
He could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not go to jail. You know
you
it.
go to jail. You slap her in front of everyone, you're in jail. Buddy. You will be doing some time.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, but it'd be worth it because they have divided this country to such a point. By first, it was the Mueller report. Okay, from day one, this man was under investigation illegally. They've been spying on him illegally since before he was elected.
Yep.
Okay, think about what they have done to him, and we're worried about whether he shook her hand. No.
I
No
just
way.
think that we have other things
Mueller
to,
report,
if
55
we're not
million.
if we're not going to focus on her ripping up if we're not going to focus on her not shaking his hand or him not shaking her hand, I'm not going to focus on her ripping up the paper either. They're
No.
both, to me, there are other things I could focus on. There are
I'm
other
gonna
things I did focus on.
I'm going to focus on how the lowest wage earners are now earning 16% more than they were before. Lowest wage earners. That's important. Really
It's very
important.
important. It's very important. And you see, poor Hector, he tries to, and I understand why his campaigns fail. He doesn't know how to stop. and he wants to give, it's like, he gives you all these scenarios, but he doesn't do thorough investigations. And then he gets so worked up about it that he looks crazy. And I'm sure some of the information he has is sensible, but once people don't want to listen to you because they know that what you're saying is not factual,
What
stop.
facts did you think he didn't have today? Because I thought he was pretty on.
It's not, no. When a post is made and someone says the post is strictly talking about the behaviors of two people, and you have to give this long dissertation of the person's accomplishments, first of all, you're all the way off, because that's not what the post was about. Then you're providing articles saying about all these other things. People are going to investigate you. You're the president of the United States. You know what you're signing up for. And he can never answer the question. He then goes back and tries to tell you
So
something
there's a
else
big
great
difference
he did.
between people investigating you, like you and me looking into shit we think he did, to starting a fake investigation and illegally spying on a campaign to win an election. You know, I don't know.
First of all, let's be honest. Since Hoover's time, everybody's been spying. We had Watergate. Come on.
It's not
Come
okay.
on.
It's not okay.
Come on.
It's
I
not
didn't say
okay
it
to
was okay, but
weaponize- But it's not okay to
I-
accept that it's okay. They
We've done it.
weaponized the FBI against a political campaign to manipulate an election. This is as
I
deep
didn't, but
treason as
I
ever
didn't,
gotten.
but I did not, I don't agree with that. What
But
they
that's
are
what the
pointing on,
facts.
I didn't pay anything about that. I didn't care about that. That didn't base my vote
That's what
on.
this is all about. That's what this
But I
is
didn't,
all about.
but that's for what people, the point of the post was the shaking of the hand and ripping up the page. If all you can do is tell me the accolades that the person has done, and you can't answer the question, you are ill-equipped. I don't need to know all his accolades. I'm in the same country that you're in. I know what he's done. We were talking about a handshake. And when you have to go back and give me articles from 2016 that don't make any sense for the argument that you're making, okay, because we all know I'm a logical person.
All right, I didn't see.
You're-
I didn't.
You're
see
dead in
specifically what
you're dead
you're
in
talking
thinking.
about. So
Yeah,
I thought
no.
that the basic conversation that we were having was basically two sides that did not agree. That's what I saw. I saw two very
When you
clear
see,
lines drawn.
when
in
you
the sand.
see, look at the way, perfect example, look at the way Mary C and I engage with each other. That's two different sides of two different opinions from two different angles.
But she's also a very different person.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
She stayed on task.
But let's be honest,
She
you and
responded
Hector just
back.
don't get along. That's been an ongoing.
That's another misconception. I get along with Hector. I don't have anything. Well, I don't have because I don't agree with someone politically doesn't mean I don't like you personally. Hector has always been very pleasant to me. His parents have always been very pleasant. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about politically now. Now we have, and I support some of the things he does, especially that red camera.
We were talking about the post, and I had asked you what facts didn't he have, and you said he posted an article. So that's why I'm saying it's just not the specifics, and it's probably a conversation. If you made it public, people should go read to find out.
No, I did. I was specific. I said you're bringing up an article about 2016 that did not support the argument you're trying to give. I was very clear. I don't talk unless I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is this when he made the statement? Okay, because I think I remember what it was, that Trump was right, that he had been spied on the whole time.
No,
that
I didn't see that.
Oh no, it was they have been trying to impeach him since he was elected. And he was trying to prove that to you. And I even brought up that the first articles of impeachment were officially entered into record in July of 2017, and they have done so 4 times. This is the first time they actually got them to move forward with them.
Well, in 2017,
they have introduced 4 separate times on the floor articles of impeachment, and the first one was July 2017. So
he was in office and they tried to impeach him. Okay, and before that, they were investigating him, but that wasn't supporting. But no, that's not what I was referring to. It wasn't supporting what he was trying to say. He did not have an argument on there.
So your belief is it's okay to spy on a political campaign?
I don't believe that anything like that should occur, but I'm a realist. It happens.
Okay.
It happens. I don't agree with people doing anything backhanded, whether it's in politics or in real life.
So because we know that it happens and because it's a pervasive pervasive behavior, I agree with you. I believe that they've done the same thing to General Petraeus. Looking back on that situation, now with new eyes, I believe this is exactly how they got rid of him, because how did they know about the private phone call between him and his girlfriend? Okay, so yes, it does happen. Yes, absolutely. Don't you think it's beyond time for us to address it and fix it?
We're not gonna fix it.
We are.
You just said yourself they brought him up how many times? Stop engaging in it. If you have to bring somebody up on impeachment charges 4 times and you only get the luck of the draw the 4th time, give it up. It's over. You cannot win. Stop it.
They're not gonna, they already said that they actually have already confirmed that they're continuing the investigation. This came from Nadler. And they're still gonna look into, because new information was coming out in reference to Bolton. They've still got that hanging around. They already
And
said
it's
they're going to.
And it's because of that why everyday people who do not particularly agree with Trump, we're not going to support anyone the Democrats put up, because you're talking crazy. Why are we figure out who can win the electoral college? Figure out who
I
can
agree
be
with
at least halfway decent to run against this man. Please do that. And I don't want to hear anything else, because the more they do that, the more that I won't vote for whatever candidate they put up.
I agree with you, but right now, and we have to close because we're well over, but right now what we're
Are
seeing
we?
is there's
I
still,
told you we would go over.
you said we're gonna go over. They're already manipulating their own elections, which started in Iowa.
That's so crazy.
I stayed up till 3 a.m. watching how they caucus. They sit in groups, and anybody who doesn't meet the 15% threshold, they send people to try to get them to go into their group, okay? The biggest seated areas was Crazy Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, okay? There was a poll that came out that they suppressed. They didn't put the poll out, say whatever, they didn't like the, now all of a sudden, we didn't have the numbers from the caucus, right? They started letting them out. We got a small percentage of it. Well, don't you know, Buttigieg is the #1 front runner now, isn't he? And Biden is coming in last. Didn't they just impeach this president? And most of the testimony that they gave during the impeachment trial, they said that he was going against a political operative. The only political operative Biden has right now is other Democrats. No one else.
He even has that.
You're not running against the president of the United States until you get the nomination.
Are all the votes in now?
No, I think they're up to 74% now.
I think it was 80 hours ago.
84, 74. I don't know. I've been finishing up with the trial today, and then I did all the show prep for us, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But I love it. Got heated. And I love you, Dana. You love me, and I love Lisa. And we
always.
See, this is how family functions. Dysfunctional.
This is what you need. If we all agreed on everything, we would be very boring.
Yes.
Very boring.
This is what civil debate is. Sometimes it gets loud, sometimes it gets ugly, but it's part of the founding of this country, and it's the most beautiful thing that there ever was.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Love you too.
All right, so we hope we see everybody again next week. Oh, my schedule's changing a little bit for the winter, so if we come up with a day or a time change, we'll let everybody know. But we hope everyone enjoyed tonight's Huntington View. Have a good night, everybody.
Good
night. Bye, guys.